Skills versus skills. Devin Haney versus Tank Davis film study with professional striking coach for boxers and mixed martial artists. Fouts Boxing. That's my name, Matt Fouts. And we're going to be taking a look at the offensive and defensive skills of Devin Haney and the offensive and defensive skills of Tank Davis. Okay, we're going to be kind of breaking them down and talking about them and how they relate to each other. But first, here we go into Devin Haney getting on the line, kind of checking it with a little bit of a feint. Boom, just going right there real quick. And he's trying to see if Prograis is looking to attack or to counter on this beat, right? Oh, if I threw a jab right here, were you trying to pull counter me? Because this is a huge point of contention in the fight. And once he gets his answer that the answer is going to be no, there's a jab, he's just going to say, okay, nothing. He's going to jump on the line and just throw combinations, okay? It's a very common tactic. And we're going to talk about why this style of feinting is kind of, average level feinting. It's important to do it, but it's a very, very, I don't say like super low level because Tank Davis has an opportunity to say, oh, he just checked the line with a little quick jab and he left. The next time he jumps in, what's he going to throw? Well, he's already controlling here. It's probably going to be the right hand, right? So, because of this idea, um, it's not even warm anymore. Because of this idea, it's a kind of a low level feint because your opponent has so many opportunities to kind of make a decision or an adjustment. But also, in particular, in Tank's case, Tank is pretty fidgety, and we're going to talk about that idea when we get there. Now, Devin Haney threw a lot of punches in his fight with Prograis, and he missed a lot of twos. Okay, there were a lot of pull counters, there were a lot of things, but Devin Haney got credit for a master class, and like it was a good win, right? Like you're gonna have to steal a win from someone like Prograis, a guy that can punch, right? There's just unless you knock him out, Mayweather versus Corrales. Um, you're going to have to steal it. But he didn't actually land that many punches. Now, if we see him going to the body instead against Prograis, he had a much, much higher success rate. We're going to talk about why this is important when we take a look at the Tank Davis clips as well. Um, but another move for his Devin Haney's offense, again, the body shot so far, his best thing against Prograis. Here he's going to get him with a little bit of a rear hand probe, and we're going to talk about why this may not be the best move against Tank Davis, although it does serve here to catch Prograis and score him a knockdown, not just winning him the round, which was a pretty close round before that, scoring him a knockdown, but getting him an extra point as well. And again, a lot of rear hand probes, not a lot, but a decent amount. We're going to see that one again. Boom. And we're going to talk about why this may or may not be a great move. Now, this in particular here, not very many follow ups here, right? Because as I just noted, there weren't very many rear hand controls or rear hand probes in the fight with Prograis, and there were even less rear hands into threes, right? Two threes basically. Um, and however, this is a very, very, very important combination for those of you that are familiar with Tank Davis, as Tank Davis has a pretty decent guard blocking the two to the head, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later. But he's very susceptible to the left hand after the way that he uses his guard. We're going to talk about why that is. So even though that's not a very high priority move for Devin Haney, that's going to be one of the key moves for him being able to possibly win against Tank Davis. Now, another offensive tactic that Devin Haney has is his lead hand. He's very active with the double jab, the probing jab. Let's go ahead and take a look at that again. Um, Controlling here after, right? Kind of like a pull counter timing. Oh, is open, but also kind of leading with it while he uses his lateral movement. Now, another thing that Devin Haney is pretty good at is see how he went first here and then he got pull countered and then he still wound up landing a jab to the right hand to the body. And here he's going to get hit with a probe, boom, and he's still going to follow up and still try to score here. Um, One of Devin Haney's kind of best attributes for him in his offense is that a lot of times he gets to be the guy who gets to go last. And because of this, uh, If the sequence is kind of even, but Devin Haney went last, you're probably going to give it to him, right? And that's going to mean that you're going to kind of pull ahead in sequences that were like maybe kind of even, all right? So, uh, maybe able to steal fights. And again, against a guy who's a puncher, you really do got to steal them. Now, Devin Haney's defense, and what do we see? Immediately, he's going first with the jab and being chased. Now, the reason that this is in defense is because Devin Haney doesn't really have an active guard, right? He's getting to the line, right, and he's kind of trying to keep his hands, right, um, in a position that are close to the line, close to his chin here, close to his center of mass, so they're easier to kind of flick out. Um, uh, but he doesn't really have an active guard. He's not really blocking punches. He's not really able to catch and pick stuff off and block. He's looking to control you with his jab, with this jab that allows him to continue circling and keep him in movement, right? And keep him in momentum, so you don't just get to jump on his line and start, dumping bombs on him. But it gets him into a little bit of trouble, right? As his defense there getting pull countered, right? And almost, getting hit with a hard shot. But it's also how he sets up his shots, because as we saw before, as he's circling here, he's kind of going to touch him with the jab. Hey, what do you think about that? Hey, what do you think about that? There's no counters there. So he's going to, okay, well, boom, boom, and throws a 1-2. So it's not like he can just dispense with it, but it's the only thing that he can really do when his opponents get really close to him. As we can see, kind of getting him in a little bit of trouble there, getting picked off here, getting for the front foot here. We can see again his defense doesn't really have his hands. Devin Haney's defense, another problem that he has. Number one, controlling with the lead hand here, but where's his rear hand, right? He doesn't usually have his hands up. Boom, and after going here, getting caught with this shot here, the second rear hand probe, pull counter on the punch, and again, Prograis wasn't really going to the head for some reason. He was going a lot to the body with his counters. Now, this is really interesting as a defense because the pull counters, as we saw, were getting through from Prograis. He was able to make contact, and a few times every single round he was able to get to Haney's body. So Devin Haney kind of had a little bit of a an adjustment where he would throw that shot and then he would just post on his neck and kind of control him and prevent him from coming back with the shot. But again, it's all lead hand control. It's all control with the left hand. It's all bladed. And that means that his lateral movement has to be kind of straight back, right? He has to be going straight back. He doesn't really have the ability to kind of move his head very well. Um, Now, another thing that he does well, again, because he can't really transfer his weight and move his head to the back leg like this, um, his defense, he's going to be stepping off the line when you try to attack him. And as we see here, when Prograis tries to throw this shot here, to kind of pull counter that timing, he kind of jumps off the line and hits him with the two-piece. Um, we're going to see that this is going to be a very difficult thing to do against someone like Tank, um, because Tank is actually pretty good from that position. Now, this position here, right? Again, the long guard, again, he's always like this, always controlling, trying to get here, bah, right? Um, Even though Prograis doesn't have like a great hook, he did a good job in the sequence getting to the outside here and coming over with this kind of cross thing. He threw it the same way that he throws his back foot jab, but he just kind of threw it kind of wide and wingy. But Tank Davis has a real hook. And getting to the line and getting Devin Haney to control you with this jab as he kind of posts back again. This is one of his main sources of defense and offense, right? And this is one of those things where it's easier to do against someone who's smaller than you, right? Because they have to close so much more distance, so much more space. So it may wind up working or being effective for Devin Haney, but there are holes around it. Now, again, Devin Haney jumping off the line here, coming back with the two-piece here, a little bit susceptible to a counter here. Jumping off the line here, again, a decent defense like that and a decent amount of offense, right, to come off of that, being able to pendulum off the line and throw these punches. But again, one of his defensive problems here, his hands are down. Okay, and Prograis, even though Prograis is not, he doesn't really have a great hook. He also doesn't throw a lot of rear hand probes when he gets on the line. Boom, right? If he gets to his guard, wow, he doesn't have a lot of rear hand probes as his first punch. Um, and we can see, again, his hands are down here. How many times after you check the line until you're like, oh, I threw a jab right there. When am I going to throw a 1-2, right? And well, as Prograde again keeps checking the line, eventually he does. He does kind of clip him on the chin and then kind of clips him on the chin here too. But again, because his hands are down, he's not really in position to interact with the line. He's going to be more susceptible to the first punch that Tank Davis throws, but also even worse to the second because his first reaction is going to be so poor because if his hands are down and a punch comes at him, he has to respect it. Okay, we're going to talk about, well, if we see the guard here, is Prograde really worried about a punch coming while he's in that guard? Now again, this circling defense, this right, a little bit of um, pull counter like motion following Devin Haney around. And again, following up with that 1-2. Kind of decent, right? Kind of decent after he putting himself in kind of a very predictable rhythm. Sees the shot coming, jumps off the line here. Again, very predictable timing because that pull counter had been coming quite a few times. And then coming back with a control and then a 2. I know I got the Illuminati footage right there. It's all unclear and all blurred. But again, decent control here, right? Doing a decent job here, not getting hit. Now, again, very susceptible, like I pointed out, to the right hook or the right hand over the top of this. Tank Davis, I don't think that he throws a lot of 2-1s, but he will get on the line and throw a 2-3 um, and throw a hard one, So maybe there's something there. But again, following him around. And this is one of these sequences here. If you're watching, paying close attention, this is something that's very, very Tank Davis like. Tank Davis likes to come forward in the high guard like this. And look at how often he's able to be here on the line here. Okay. Now, controlling, getting to throw some punches. Again, Devin Haney's hands aren't really up. He's just taking small steps back. Tank Davis is very, very quick, right? Now throws a shot, a very obvious shot, still gets hit hard to the body, right? Decent job following up, right? But if this is a common pattern in the fight, again, very common lead jab off the line. If this is a very, very common sequence in the fight with Progray, how common will it be with against a better fighter like Tank? Okay, again, trying to pivot on the front foot. Now, again, his hands down, right? If his hands are not down, it's going to be much easier to hit him with rear hand shots. Again, it's going to be, for some reason, Progray didn't throw a lot of these kinds of shots, but Devin Haney not doing super great against Lomachenko in this regard, right? Giving up a lot of open shot here. Again, the rear hand probe. And Tank Davis is much, much, much more active with this shot. And again, just not having his hands up again. He's going to get hit again, twice in the same sequence here. And now we're going to go ahead and take a look at some of Tank's offense. Now, Tank's going to give a little bit of a feint here. He's going to jump down, get a look at his guard here, right? And then look at how quick he jumps down and then throws that 2, right? He saw exactly where his opponent's head was going to be. He saw exactly where they were going to be. Just boom, boom. And again, because of the fact that Devin doesn't keep his hands up, he kind of tries to keep them here or near his chest so he can kind of move around kind of easier. He's going to be very susceptible to the actual speed of Tank, right? Now, there is a significant size difference between Tank and Devin. So it may be difficult for him to be able to hit him with shots like that. But it's going to be a very, very, very important sequence because Tank Davis is going to be able to control a lot of space because he hits so hard, right? These are going to be punches that Devin Haney has to respect. And Tank is going to throw them to the head, right? Which is something for some reason, again, Progray didn't really do. Progray actually, when he would get to the inside, he would get to a position where he could take lead foot dominance. He would actually go to the inside instead, and it would just allow Devin Haney to kind of escape and get away. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Now, Tank Davis, also a decent stepping jab, right? Stepping here and then peeling, Okay, and again, this is a punch that he can just land here. Boom, stepping jab. It's very, very, very quick. Even though his defense is not great, he's able to throw this punch very, very quickly, boom, and then defend it, right? Very sneaky, and it's very, very difficult to catch him after, right? Now, another punch that he's very, very, very good at, just as he was crossing the line here, just kind of moving around with his opponent, boom, right? His opponent, while Tank is coming forward, he's got his hands in a position where he can parry that hand, right? We can see his glove is open. He's looking to catch Barrios' glove, right? It allows him to get this close. Barrios gets his back to the ropes. He has to pivot. While he's pivoting here, Tank Davis finds an opportunity to use his front foot structure to throw a punch. Simply by being able to control the lead hand by having his hands up, he's able to interact enough with Barrios that he can get to a position that he can land a significant strike, right? A very, very powerful punch against this guy, right? Who's much, much, much taller than he is, okay? And again, he's able to get to that position, control this shot here, and again, steal that punch again. Jumping on the line, and again, very, very difficult to get him, but look at how susceptible he is to a little bit of follow up right there. We're going to talk about that on defense later, but I just wanted to point that clip out there. Now, again, Tank throwing the 2 and the 3 here. Very, 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 very um, dynamic fighter. And if we go back to this sequence here, right, he starts this one off of a right hand, gets off the line, follows it up, pull a little bit into a 2-3, right? So even if you get away from the 2, he still might get you with his 3. But check this out. Check as he's following him here. He's moving. See how he gets controlled by this very, very obvious tempo of that right hand, and he's able to counter him. We're going to let that kind of smooth out there. But you see how he's chasing Barrios? Boom, gets that control and is able to pull counter. Tank Davis is so fast, and the fact that he can do this, right? This is the timing that Prograis wound up getting dropped. He was doing this move, right? Got attacked, pull, boom. This is a very, very common pattern in movement that people do because it's natural. And if you don't practice it and you don't understand how natural and important the pendulum step is and being able to fight off of your pendulum step like Tank Davis is here, you're going to be really far behind, right? A lot of coaches teach you to be in a stance, right? At Fouts Boxing, I teach positions. I created position 1 on the front foot and position 2, and teaching out of these positions and not in a stance, but teaching boxing dynamically off of the front foot and off of the back foot. Um, all original Fouts Boxing ideas. Um, but Tank Davis very, very, very good at fighting and fighting off of the between the transitional points of these two positions. Okay, so Tank again, Devin Haney, most of his offense and his defense is controlling with that lead hand. We can see Tank Davis chasing Mario Barrios down here, right, and being very, very, very difficult to hit here. Now, another thing that he's very, very good at is once he gets control of that lead hand, right, we can see that he's gonna touch that lead hand, and or he's gonna get on the line, and then he's gonna throw this shot and push Tank off the line. Now Tank's gonna try to get into that position, and he's gonna get to that position, force contact with Mario Barrios at that same point where he left last time, and explode into a 2. So if you don't interact with Tank, when he gets to these positions where he's close, he can explode into a 2. He can explode into his other shots. If you do interact with him, he's controlling that space here, right? Pull countering, and again, how quick is he on that move? How quick is he able to get to those positions? And again, a little bit of defending his position from those kinds of shots, right? Again, a very, very common position. It's not perfect, right? He still gets a little bit controlled, but out of there before the rear hand. A 2, 1, 2, boom. And then again, attacking the line because he didn't score and then re-attacking it and going to the body. Tank Davis, again, a very, very this sequence, right? Just being able to go from there and then back to this shot right onto the line, very, very difficult. Something that Prograis struggled with, right? Something that Prograis was having a very, very difficult time doing, throwing a 1-2 and then remaining on balance so he didn't kind of get smacked. Now, we're going to take a look at Tank Davis's defense, okay? We're probably going to watch all these clips again, okay, and talk about them a little bit more in depth and talk about some more particular stuff. But again, I said it earlier. Tank Davis is a little bit twitchy, right? Um, Devin Haney will often just come in with a jab, oh, run away, right? And then he'll go, oh, right, and try to throw a 1-2 real quick, and try to steal a shot. But Tank Davis's defense, right? If you can make contact with him, boom, he's getting off the line, right? It's very, very difficult to kind of pin him down, right? He's very, very twitchy, right? A little bit of herky jerky. And this is why he's also so susceptible to the cross, right? The left cross, especially after being attacked by the right hand. Now, Tank Davis does not often have his hands down. Usually he's got pretty decent respect, right? He's going to have to keep his hands up in this fight. Otherwise, Devin Haney will score every time his hands are down. Um, but stuff like this, like the double jab, if Devin Haney or if Tank is going to be keeping his hands down, Devin Haney is going to be okay um, scoring with the double jab. I didn't include that in his offense repertoire. I actually think it's going to be one of the more dangerous moves for him, double jabbing and getting catch, right? And then just getting pulled. But Tank Davis is very, very sticky, right? He's very, like, elusive. It's very difficult to actually pin him down. But if he can use the double jab, I think maybe he can find some holes, right? If he can get Tank Davis to kind of twitch when he's not ready. Now, when Tank is ready, right? And I just concluded this clip here, just so that here he is penduluming. Here's that right hand from Barrios. Here he is getting under it. It's a timing that again Tank is very, very familiar with. He countered the jab off of this exact same movement, but it's not going to be one of those things that's going to really affect the fight. Although Devin Haney normally does have some really, really sick timing. Now, Tank Davis's defense, right? Pull, counter the jab, and then getting under, right? And he's so quick, he's so powerful. Again, pull, boom. There's just not that much space, right? And again, very, very, very important. Devin Haney got a lot of value against Tank because he would throw that rear hand, but look at how quick Tank is able to get off the line after making a very, very powerful strike. Now, again, decent defense, and we see that Mario Barrios is going to check the line. Oh, what are you doing here? Right? Gets to the line with that lead hand control, right? But Tank has his hands up, right? There's not going to be a free punch coming from the jab of Mario Barrios, so he's just going to keep coming forward in the line. Mario Barrios gives him that feint and tells him he's going to come in, and he's able to read this shot, right? Now Barrios is going to do the same thing here, right? And get caught again, right? Just watch him, boom, gives him a feint, right? But that line is covered, right? Unless it's a hook, right? Which would take more beats, would take more time. Unless it's a hook, there's not going to be enough time. It's not going to get there, right? It's all covered. So the next punch is going to obviously be boom, and he's going to come in with the next shot, right? And Tank Davis is picking him off here, right? This is like really high level countering, right? Now, if we take a look at his defense here, Tank does have one defensive flaw, super flaw. He doesn't, you know, he likes to parry sometimes these straight punches, and when he keeps his defense on the line like this, he kind of keeps his head straight up here, right? He doesn't really get to one side of the line or the other, but also, ooh, it also makes him more susceptible to that punch, right? Because when he moves to the back foot, even in this position, he still wasn't able to block with his right hand. Now, it's very interesting that he approaches the line with his high guard, and he'll have it here, but when he comes back here, his guard is always down. Okay, it's very, very interesting that he would do that and make himself susceptible. But there was a little bit more in this clip as well, going to the body instead of to the head here, right? I think it's a very, like, kind of an interesting little wrinkle. Um, and I think that there's might be something to it, especially in getting control of Tank, because it seems like it might even be easier to get him with the cross if you go to the body first. Now, same side attack here, right? He's going to kind of throw a very similar shot, boom. And again, look at how Tank pulls away, right? Now, he's not really transferring his weight correctly to the back foot. He's kind of keeping both of his heels down to the ground. He's kind of pulling straight back. He's not turning away, right, from the shot that's coming. And it kind of leaves him susceptible to that shot. And again, this is a tough position to be in. If he were to get hit clean here, he would go down, right? Doesn't even take a hard shot. You just got to hit him clean here. He'll go down, right? Now, Tank is super fast, so most people aren't going to get a free shot off here. But Devin Haney actually was super fast against Prograis. Prograis is a very, very, very quick fighter himself. He was still having his own success going to the body. He's not a very good jabber himself, so his chances of winning that fight were punching. Um, but Devin Haney probably is quick enough if he can get control of him with the double jab, right? See how this was the same side, boom, boom, pushing him to this position here, and he could sneak a shot. Um, but again, I think that the double jab is a very, very, very risky punch. Jab, jab, gets him with the rear hand, maybe. Okay. Um, but again, the cross is very, very, very effective. Devin Haney doesn't really throw a lot of left hooks off of the right hand. He doesn't really throw a lot of left crosses off of the right hand. And that's one of the most easiest places to really get Tank out of position because if we take a look at these clips here, right, taking a look at this one, he's actually really good at blocking right hands to the head. He interacted with that one really well and then didn't move. And then he's going to interact with this one really well. He blocked it, saw it coming a mile away, got his guard up, and then got hit by the cross after. And it's just been consistently one of his biggest weaknesses. However, choosing the head here exposes his body, right? And it might be one of those ways to get him on the line because from this position, if he's blocking this punch, he's still very dangerous here, right? And if Devin Haney, right, and we're going to go back and watch a little bit of Devin Haney's clips, and we're going to talk about this. The only problem that Devin Haney has, though, is if he opens up with his two and he throws his two, poof, oftentimes Devin Haney's structure is so poor. Oops, is it not going to play now? His structure is so poor that he won't be able to get any punches off after he controls the line with his rear hand. So he'll throw the right hand and then he'll kind of jump up and then kind of roll, do a little thing. Not sure why this isn't playing here, guys. But anyway, um Devin Haney's his the fact that he always lifts his feet and he always kind of jumps after he throws his right hand, I think that it's going to make it very, very difficult for him to exploit that motion, right? Exploit that lack of defense from Tank, and I think it's going to make it very, very difficult for him to find a lot of scoring places. Now, if we take a look at a little bit more of Tank's offense, I think the most some of the most significant stuff is going to be stuff like this pull counter here as he's chasing Mario Barrios and his ability to close the distance, put sequences together, chase him beating what would be Devin Haney's best source of defense and offense here. Boom. Um, but also the fact that the in between stuff, right? He's going to be really good at getting into positions to attack Devin Haney because anytime Devin Haney jumps on the line with one of those jabs, it's going to kind of alert Tank Davis. It's going to kind of make him a little bit twitchy and hard to hit with the very obvious jump on the line with the one, throw the two, throw the three, right? Especially because we saw that he can predict when Mario Barrios was going to do that. And then throw a punch and then completely annihilate Barrios when he gets to the line, right? But he also has a really high level repertoire of moves that he can do when he gets to the line in these positions, pull countering the jab, getting out of this position, getting to this position. Actually, most important, getting to the line here and letting this move go. Okay, and the reason this is so important is because Devin Haney's defense, his hands are low when he's not on the line. He's not really in a position to block a really high level guy's rear hand probe or someone who can attack the line, right? And throw this rear hand and then pull off the line and then come back as we saw him do a few times to Mario Barrios. These are all going to be very, very difficult things for him to deal with. But this punch in particular, because the Tank can throw this punch and be very surprising, and then also this punch, right? Getting to the line. I know he didn't get him here, right? But because of the fact that Haney keeps his hands down, both of these two first punches from Tank are going to be very, very, very difficult for Devin Haney to deal with. Okay. Now, if we take a look at Devin Haney's defense, maybe. Oh, you gonna do me like that? I gotta fix this setting. Um, but Devin Haney's defense, because of the fact that his hands are down, he doesn't really move and transfer his weight. He stands in a very bladed stance. He steps with all his punches. Um, because of the fact that he has these flaws, as he's being chased down by somebody like Tank who can move through these positions, control, he can throw from either side of the line, and he can fight off of the punches that he throws. He's going to be very, very difficult for Devin Haney um, to control space against him, to keep him off of him. Um, the biggest place that I think that Devin Haney has to kind of come back and make it an even fight with Tank is if he kind of wrestles him. Now, wrestling's illegal, right? So depending on the ref, but I think that if they fight, um, Regis Prograis was giving up a lot of space to Devin. He would give up the angles. He would when he would get him onto the ropes, he wouldn't fight him. In the 12th round, he did. He got him on the ropes and then threw some punches instead of just letting him out and getting away. But Tank is going to take that space and he's going to use it to slip, take a lead foot dominance, and then throw power punches. Right? Tank Davis is actually really good at that. Now, there is one thing that Devin Haney was doing, and it happened quite a bit in the fight. He would take a step forward when he would throw the jab, and he would step directly onto Prograis's foot, like right on his foot, block him from coming back with the pull counters. Um, and if he gets away with that in the Tank fight, yeah, man, he'll dominate him. He'll dominate Tank, just like he dominated him here, Prograis. Now, I'm only pointing it out because I noticed it. It was a ton of times, but it would be like he'd be like all the way on the foot, you know. And sometimes Prograis would do it to him too. And I suspect that it's a foot fault from Prograis, and you know, there was just a lot of them from Haney. Um, but I think that Devin Haney doesn't he doesn't know how to move around with his feet correctly, and if he's not if he's not allowed to hold, he's going to find it very difficult to beat Tank. I think. Now, I do want to say that I did pick Prograis. I said I'm not confident. Like I didn't really think he was gonna like. Oh yeah, man. But I'm like, this is what the data says, but I'm not confident it's gonna happen, right? But that was my pick. Um, but and people have been asking if I've been changing my mind about Haney, and I think he's like a little bit better than. Um, like I thought that was a pretty good fight. Normally, there's a lot of fouls, and you just got to kind of wonder if he's going to make it out of a fight with a high level guy. And here's the thing: I thought that the fight was, a good fight. I thought it was fun to watch. It was very low activity. Again, he landed less than 11 punches a round, right on average. I know the other guy landed less. I get that, right? Um, but unfortunately, if Haney is going to beat Tank, either he's going to knock him out or it's going to be similar, right? He's not going to be able to. they're not going to be able to get on the line and land 230 punches each, right? Nobody's taking 230 punches from Tank Davis, right? Can Tank take 230 punches from Devin? I don't know. Um, I, I wouldn't imagine so. I think that um, Haney might hit harder than people think he does. I don't think he, but the thing is I think every punch is always the same amount of heart. It's the same amount of power. He throws basically the same punch, and people, maybe Prograis didn't realize how, that he wasn't in as much trouble from Haney's punches as he thought he was, because I don't think that Haney has a second gear for his power. I think he throws all his punches the same power, the same speed. Um, but Tank hits really hard, you know, and being able to go 12 rounds with Tank. Now, if we think about Mario Barrios, right? He did get dropped a few times. He's pretty big. He did win quite a few rounds early against Tank. Now, he did wind up taking a bunch of punches from Tank, but Devin Haney showed in the fight with Prograis that without fouling, without wrestling, um, he could control enough space, circle, and move, and he could fight for 12 rounds. He did a decent job of showing that he could keep up the pace, keep up the activity level. It looked like he had energy to spare. Why didn't you go for the knockout, bro? Now, people are gonna say that Prograis was a bum and this and that, and like I rate Prograis. I think Prograis is a good fighter. Obviously, he showed some flaws. There was obviously some strategic ones that were bad as well. Um, Um, but beating Regis Prograis is a big deal. It's a big deal. Beating George Kambosos, not a big deal. And the fight with Loma, by the way, I just want to interject this real quick. Stupid. It's dumb. Who wants that fight? Shouldn't be happening. If we keep letting mediocre fighters get the decision over people who deserve the decision, we will keep getting mediocre fights. The reason the sport dies is because it's not the best fighters. That's why, you know. But it's not the most entertaining because it's not the best. But anyway, um I think that Devin Haney has a chance to win against Tank. For sure. I think he has a chance to win. Um Number one, if he starts hitting like a 165-pound fighter who can cut, 20 pounds or 18 pounds to get, or 25 pounds, whatever it is, 27, um, um, 25, yeah. If he can cut that and, be okay and hit like one of those guys, you know, maybe he can knock him out, right? Maybe he can knock Tank out. Um, I suspect that he would have to, box and move and, do a lot of stuff, but I don't think that he has the footwork for it. I think that even though he had some as he's using his lateral movement, as he's circling, um, even though he had some, stepping off the line moves where he could hop off the line with the pull counter when the pull counter would come. I think that he's so susceptible to the pull counter and those moves, and I think that his lateral movement has so many holes, so many places where he's going to be in more danger than he thinks. Getting hit with just lead hands while he's in that zone. Um, that it's not going to be that difficult for Tank to find himself winning a round early. Now Devin is pretty long and tall, so maybe I'm underestimating how difficult it'll be for Tank to bridge the gap. But Ryan is really tall, and he's lead hand dominant, and he has a super fast hook. And Tank dismantled it, you know. Um, so I think that even though even though Devin Haney looked, pretty good against Prograis, he did a great job of neutralizing him. I think that Tank is another animal. You know, the rear hand probes again, something that Prograis didn't really have. The stepping jab, where he can get on the line and then off the line and defend himself, he didn't really have. Um, Also, uh, a hook. Tank Davis has a really, really, really good hook. And I think all of these things are going to make it very difficult for Devin Haney to find holes where his very amateur stepping style can really get control of him. Now, sometimes Tank is not in position to counter, right? But it's so difficult to figure out where Tank is gonna be because he'll move his head, he'll slip and he'll duck and he'll roll and sometimes he'll just pull counter you, right? And it's difficult to tell where he is in his rotation. Um, but if Devin Haney can find spaces to hit Tank when he's out of position, maybe get some like cheap knockdowns. Maybe he can make it look like a really dominant fight while he's moving away and kind of limiting the contact with Tank. But I think that I think that Tank is too good at closing the distance. I think Tank is too good with his head movement. I think Tank is when he's coming forward. Number one, if we just go back real quick, Tank's offense when he's coming forward and he's coming through, it's hard to hit him with punches here when he's controlling this. And a stepping jab, a second stepping jab is not going to be much more difficult for him to deal with because he doesn't really feel like he's in any danger from here, right? This is going to be a very, very, very important factor for the fight because, again, while he's controlling the jab, it opens up the opportunity to sneak these kinds of shots in here because he's not afraid of Devin Haney's most common source of offense and defense, right? So he has the advantage on layer one of combat. So it is possible for not only for Haney to win this fight, but I don't think, man, he looked really fast. He looked really fast against Prograis. I was really surprised. Um, you know, I would give I would give Devin Haney, I don't know if I have to give it percentages. I guess I would give him like a 30% shot at winning this fight, and I'm like 70% Tank. Um, and I would give him like an even split at KO versus decision. It might be 40%, Um, but I am favoring Tank. I think Tank has overall more skills. He has more things that he can do when he gets to the line. He has more power. I think, Devin Haney at 165 and Tank at 150, you know, um, 152 maybe. Uh, you know, Maybe Devin Haney is able to bridge the gap even though he doesn't have very good punching power. Um, which I guess now is a good time to say, uh, check out the Fouts Boxing Combat System. I'm the first coach in history to figure out how all of punching power works. So if you're interested, check it out. If you want to learn you know, how punching power really works, how to throw your best punch, and how to improve your power as well. Again, first coach in history to figure out how all of combat and punching power works. Check it out. Um, but yeah, it's going to be an interesting fight. It's going to be an interesting fight. It's not out of the scope of Devin Haney being able to win. Um, but I think that Tank is going to be more prepared. Um, more well schooled, and more importantly, Devin Haney, style. They say styles make fights, and I think that having a good jab is going to get you and good control with your lead hand is going to get you through a lot of fights, right? He was able to control a ton of space against Prograis, keep Prograis from throwing very many punches at him at all. and lowering his chances of winning the fight um, quite a bit, right? Simply by probing and controlling him, right? But Tank can fight off of that. He can chase you down. He can fight off of your probes and land powerful punches. So, yeah, I'm just gonna go with Tank. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Thanks, guys.